morning run, sweating bullets, but I have to say this while I'm thinking about it. Almost every week, I see someone ask the question, why are white men so angry? And while I cannot begin to expound on the many reasons why that might be, what I can say is this: I view all social problems through a lens of societal systems, because as a sociologist, that's what I'm trained to do. And here is the design flaw in systems of privilege. When you build systems of hierarchy and privilege, when you build systems of hierarchy and privilege, the privilege is actually what weakens you. The privilege makes you weak because when you socialize an entire group of people to believe that I exist, therefore I deserve. I exist, therefore I am entitled. I exist, therefore the path of prosperity should be laid out very cleanly ahead of me, and I don't have to work hard, and I don't have to struggle, and I don't have to dig deep. I just have to receive. Meanwhile, you are socializing all other groups to survive with less resources, with less privilege. And so as a byproduct of their survival, they are becoming adaptable, resilient, creative, resourceful. They are developing the muscle for survival that they subsequently turn into systems for success and prosperity. Meanwhile, the privileged group is not developing these systems. And when they start to see the disenfranchised group becoming stronger, gaining opportunities, building systems of success, rather than say, hey, maybe we ought to be doing that too, no. Privilege doubles down. Privilege digs deep into the well of anger and grievance and says, you are the reason why I can't be successful. You are taking opportunities away from me and my children and generations. And so now, rather than develop the muscle of resilience, what I'm going to do now is start taking privileges away from you. And now I'm going to start taking your resources, and now I'm going to start burning your house down in hopes that you will get back to where I think you ought to be, which is underneath me. Not realizing that the more you do that, the more privileges you take away, the more systems of success you try to dismantle, you are only making them more creative, more adaptable, more resilient, and more resourceful. So it becomes this Ouroboros, this snake eating its own tail, because the very system that you designed to uplift yourself is actually the one that is putting you far behind, because you never develop the muscle, the work ethic, the resilience, the innovation, and the creativity as the disenfranchised group.
Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be assassinated. But I'm overwhelmed seeing the flags of the United States of America at half staff, calling this nation to honor and venerate a man who was an unapologetic racist and spent all of his life sowing seeds of division and hate into this land. And hearing people with selective rage who are mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't give a damn about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were shot down in their home, tell me I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who had no respect for my own life. I am sorry, but there's nowhere in Bible where we are taught to honor evil. And how you die does not redeem how you lived. You do not become a hero in your death when you are a weapon of the enemy in your life. I can abhor the violence that took your life, but I don't have to celebrate how you chose to live. I am overwhelmed.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. It is Monday and we hope everybody's doing well. Niele, how are you?
Peace and love, everybody. As Stacey said, I am Niele Anderson, and welcome. Come on in. We have a lot of headlines for you this morning. We're talking about sports. good news and everything that is impacting the Black experience from near and far. And I think that that preacher gave the sermon that churches needed to hear on yesterday. I mean, he brought up so many nuggets. He said, nowhere in the Bible that we're taught evil. How you die does not redeem how you live. And at the end of it, pretty much, I think he said how we all felt. We are overwhelmed at what we see. Yesterday, we saw several football teams honoring Charlie Kirk. Black folks is overwhelmed, and I think that's one of the things that church on Sunday does for you. It speaks to how either your soul is full or perplexed.
Well, I did see those tributes, and as somebody pointed out, where was that for the those lawmakers in Minnesota? That's, I mean, it's terrible that that went the way it went, ignored, and there was
What was
no
ignored?
the killings of those lawmakers in Minnesota. I'm saying from politicians on the right,
Mhm.
they absolutely, if they said anything, it was like, so what? I think Trump's response was, well, I mean, he didn't even go to the funeral, and he
Right.
said, you know, there's nothing we can do now.
Yeah, he said it was
There's no
selective
line
memory.
in right. There's no line in state. There's no flying their bodies on Air Force Two. And the football teams and the New York Yankees didn't put up a big video tribute and all of that. The country is just in trouble.
It is. And I think that's what church does for Black people on a Sunday morning, is it speaks to what we need to hear. And a lot of us heard different sermons on Sunday. I know my pastor, touched on it. But I think that if there was a pastor that got the award for best Sunday sermon, it would have been him on yesterday. He went viral, and rightfully so. I mean, I think he laid out everything we needed to hear. The selective memory, like you said, he said about Melissa Hortman and her
Mhm,
family.
mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
so many Jews. And like he said, we're exhausted. Like and I don't even think it's because of what happened to Charlie Kirk. It's about how America and these white people are
Mhm.
uplifting him and comparing him to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And, I saw somewhere where JD Vance is hosting his show today, which is very peculiar and strange to
Mhm,
me for so
mhm.
many reasons,
Yeah.
conspiracy reasons to say a little bit. But it's just so bizarre. So
Yeah.
bizarre.
And nowhere do I remember in all of his speeches and all of their speeches, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, do I remember them spewing hate toward any race? Do I remember them spewing, hate toward women? Nowhere in their speech do I remember them spewing any type of disgust or anti-LGBTQ people.
Hmm.
Um, Nowhere did I detect any of that in Malcolm or Martin's way in which they lived, that we know of publicly, and for all that we've heard privately, even from the bad stuff that we heard. We heard about King philandering possibly, but we didn't hear about him denigrating somebody because of their race or because of their gender. So this stuff is, give me a break. It's
Yeah,
it's
it
exhausting,
is.
like you said.
He
It's
said he
exhausting.
ended. He said
Mhm,
it's exhausting. But Dr.
mhm,
Marilyn said, I agree so much with that statement. How you die does not redeem how you live.
mhm. And then we're seeing it
That
across
was
the
powerful.
yeah, and we're seeing it across the world too. Yeah, the huge 100,000
Was that
folks
AI?
protesting in London. No, no,
Okay.
no, no, no. France, London. They are. I think was it
It
Japan
was
or China?
Japan.
One
Uh-huh. I was
Japan.
concerned. I was like, is that AI?
Yeah, Japan. And here's the other part of it. We're seeing a whole, and we talked a little bit about this last week. We're seeing a whole lot of Black folks say, they feel sorry for Charlie Kirk and blah 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 blah. But what we are also understanding with these Black folks, is that they had no idea who Charlie Kirk was. And
No,
so the
no, I didn't
reaction,
either.
yeah, and the reaction is going to be anybody who gets taken out like that, it's going to be what we're hearing from Black folks, but then it's going viral um, because of their, and ignorant is not always a bad word, but because of their ignorance of Charlie Kirk. It's not the type of ignorance that he displayed, but it was it's ignorance of not knowing, and they just don't know because there's no
Yeah.
way you can convince me that a Black person, just like with Trump, there's no way you can convince me that a Black person with all his faculties can support what they're seeing out of Donald Trump.
Oh, no, no, no. There are some. Like I got into it with somebody that I know that's a Republican, and we were going back and forth yesterday about the sermon. And he was defending Charlie. And I'm
And do you feel this
like,
person? Do you feel this person has 100% all their faculties?
yeah, he does.
Okay.
It's just a choice he made. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's an ignorant choice. I mean, the people you're talking about, my pastor called them innocently ignorant. I know
Mhm.
those people. No, he's just ignorant to have the views that he has. But it's just amazing. Some people like, you know what I told him? I said, even slave masters have favorite Negroes.
Mhm.
So you're
Yep.
trying to defend this man and say, oh, he was not a bad. He said he knew Charlie. He gave him some, some of the things that he done was because of him. But my response was, even the slave masters has some favorite Negroes.
And that is the truth. And we see them on a routine basis. Again, what did Malcolm say about the house Negro and the field Negro? And that's where you could leave that. That's for sure. um, and so the National Guard is headed to, or are they there yet, Neil, in Memphis, Tennessee?
I was checking. I don't think that they're there yet, but then there were reports that trucks were there. But I think this right here, Stacey, is what makes this so grotesque by this president. How he is just like, okay, today I want to be in Chicago. Okay, they're going to resist. So let me head down to Memphis, where I have a Republican governor and the mayor is Black and he's not as strong as the resistors that I know I can't touch. So let's just go to Memphis.
Oh, and again, we talked about the bigger picture, right? And the bigger picture, again, folks, is to conjure up this fake emergency and to send troops throughout American cities. It's telling you, it's saying this is my either plan A or my plan B to get rid of free and fair elections in America. That's what this is about. Let's make
Yeah.
no mistake about it.
I 100% agree. Like the bigger picture is to and it is to cause pain and anxiety on Black led cities and majority Black led cities. Okay, leadership and us as the people, right? Because it says CNN is reporting just an hour ago that Memphis is bracing for the potential arrival. So
Mhm.
even like it's a threat, but what they did was Chicago was going to be a hard sell for them, not only because of the governor, not only because of the mayor, but also because some of them Black folks, we know that they are volatile. Okay. So that there's a whole scenario going on there. So let's move on to Memphis. Now, it is reported in 2024, Memphis had the highest crime rate.
Mhm.
So, those are facts. But at the same time, it is a heavy populated African American community, and so just the anxiety of just them possibly coming, that's how they scare
Mhm.
Black folks.
Yeah.
At night, be sure you're inside because them boys is out in them trucks and circling. It's that
Yeah.
same infliction and mentality that they are imposing on us.
Yeah, and just folks in Memphis and wherever else this guy may send National Guard troops, just understand that there may be curfews that you certainly want to abide by them. It's just important because the way that they're doing things now is they can lock you up and forget about you. There's no the protections we had 9+ months ago are gone. And it's not to tell you, don't speak out, don't protest if that's what you want to do. But it's just be very mindful of
Mhm.
these laws that they have when they deploy the National Guard. Now you do have the right to assembly, but if they
Mhm.
have a curfew, I, I just say, Neil, abide by that curfew.
For sure. For sure. Hmm.
You
We
just
are
don't,
living in a new type of
mhm.
world right now.
Yep. And one thing I do, we talk about these rights. The one right I always say that, especially Black America, that you should embrace wholeheartedly and fully the
Hmm.
right to remain silent.
Hmm.
That is extremely important because when they tell you that everything you say, they don't even read it anymore. They don't even have to read it anymore, though. Now, that's the other thing that Trump has gotten away with this administration that said, Miranda rights are out the window. But when they say everything you say can and would be used against you, you could say the most innocuous thing. They're going to twist it and use it against you. Exercise your right to remain silent, folks.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, they are pushing for you to know your rights regardless. Freedom of speech to assemble, right to record, like you said, right to remain silent, right to refuse search, and right to an attorney. And so if you're a protester right now, you definitely should have an attorney on speed dial, or the organization that you are protesting with or working with, make sure that they have an attorney that can be able to help in cases where you guys go protest and something pops off.
There you go. There you go. And welcome to the show. Rabbi Catriel Zergarland says that they're watching for the first time, checking out the show. Thanks for sharing. Plan on listening to more episodes. So we have a
Welcome.
rabbi. Welcome.
Welcome. Peace and love.
um, and folks, despite allegations of mortgage fraud, documents have revealed that Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook listed her Atlanta condo as a second home, not a
Hmm.
primary one, and never applied for any kind of tax breaks. A federal judge has blocked Trump's effort to remove her, and the fight comes as the Fed prepares a key vote on interest rates. And Trump is pushing the central bank to lower rates and is attacking. He's continued his attacks really on Chair Jerome Powell and now on Lisa Cook as well. So if Trump is willing to invent crimes to smear a Black Federal Reserve governor, what won't he fabricate to expand his power, folks?
Yeah, I think that that was key, that Trump's efforts to do something deceitful and to be able to put more money in his millionaire friends' pockets, right? And so I think that is, a real important takeaway, that we have to understand that this isn't just an attack on a person in their job, which we know he's done, but the bigger issue is, what he would stand to gain if he were to remove these two individuals from the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, absolutely. This because it goes along with his overall takeover. This power grab it's not. It used to be that folks ran for president. There were some folks in history that ran for president simply for the power,
Hmm.
right? And Trump ran not simply for the power. We also know he ran to perhaps stay out of prison, but the power, but the money. They have taken our information. We talked about this last week, Neo.
Hmm.
It's somewhere in a box in the office, some private office of Elon Musk. All of our information, Social
You know,
Security, tax filings, etc.
and that's the scary part, how Elon Musk has gone so quiet, but he stole all of the United States of America's information. Elon Musk has somewhere, maybe in his bathtub, like Donald Trump had all of those files in his bathtub in Mar-a-Lago. But Elon Musk has all our information and he's quiet as a mouse. We should also be concerned about that. It's so much for
Yeah.
people of color to be concerned about right now.
Well, and to go along with that, Elon Musk has he's been pushing the right wing movement overseas, and see those
Mm.
protests. He's heavily involved in organizing and arranging those protests that we see. So there has been and continues to be a much bigger picture here when it comes to the Trump administration, what Trump is trying to accomplish. You remember he dispatched his kids overseas immediately after he won the election. Um, with this crypto stuff and there's a whole plan here in place, folks, and this is why, again, there needs to be counters, and you've mentioned there are some counters, and so let's hope that the counter plans continue to be laid and there is some counter action to Project 2025 and all of this other stuff that we're talking about.
Mhm. Now, I mean, last week you brought up the Congressional Black Caucus had a counter plan. So we're still trying to figure out what that rollout is, what that looks like, and how it actually moves from the offices of the CBC to actually into the streets and the community so the people can support it and push it just like they did for Project 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. Legal sports betting's few protections was found to harm African Americans, and the IRS is warning that the sports bettors are at real risk of fraud, with shady platforms and crypto loopholes being used to steal winnings and identity. So even if you win, they're going to steal it from you for the most part. But
Mhm.
fraud isn't the only danger. The national study showed Black communities face higher rates of gambling harm, while legal betting companies target those same communities with cultural ads and celebrity endorsements. We see them all the time. So if the IRS admits fraud is rampant and research shows our neighborhoods are being preyed upon, how can sports betting still be sold as harmless fun instead of the next crisis waiting to hit?
I mean, people go to Vegas all the time. I mean, betting online, going to Vegas, what? But speaking of betting, oh, go ahead, Stacey.
Oh no, go ahead. No, I want to hear you.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, speaking of betting, it's reported that Jay-Z won 1.2 million on a $500,000 bet on Terrence Crawford for his recent win, and he did it on Fanatic Sportsbooks. So just speaking of, you're talking about this online betting,
Right.
Fanatic Sportsbooks, he supposedly won $1.2 million, and of course that's through Michael Rubin,
Mm,
who owns Fanatics.
mm.
So betting is betting. If you
Yeah, but it's
can, if you can, if you can't, it's always at your risk. I mean, people go to Vegas all the time and lose their
mhm.
homes and all that type of stuff. So I just think that, it's a choice. And, if you decide to lose all your stuff because you want to bet, I mean, that's on you.
Well, I think yeah, you're certainly right. I don't bet. I don't advocate betting, but that's me.
Oh, I love a
Um,
good slot machine
See,
in
there you go.
Vegas.
There you go.
I love a good slot. I'm not a table type girl, but you
Okay.
give me a Wheel of Fortune quarter machine. I'm not doing the dollar. I'll do a dollar if I win on the quarters. But all I need is a good 25-cent Wheel of Fortune machine. I am good to go.
You're good to go.
Gambling is
Well,
fun.
but I think the warning is that's come out though is important though for those who do the sports betting online and stuff like that. That you got to be careful. You got to know who you're. I guess you got to do some more research.
Right.
You got to
You got to
because
know who your
they
bookie is.
are. You got to know who your bookie is. They are. They are. This is more prevalent in Black communities, according to the IRS. So they're just telling you, hey, be smart about it if you can.
What about
But
a dice game? What about a good old fashioned dice game?
oh my God! So what? What are
Still
you?
happen?
Oh, okay. The guys on the corner smoking some weed and throwing the dice.
Throwing the dice. And No, but I think
Um,
speaking of betting, I think also too it's important to bring up the Reform Alliance, which is the organization that Jay-Z helped founded with Meek Mill. They had their casino night gala over the weekend, and they raised over $20 million. I mean, everybody was in the house, Stacey. But what I found interesting, guess who else showed up at this casino night? I mean, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Meek Mill. It was hosted by Kevin Hart, Travis Scott. So many people over there. But guess who popped up?
yeah, I know Angel Reese was one.
No, she was in Vegas. She was in Vegas at the fight. No,
They showed her at
Ivanka.
some event with Jay-Z and Beyonce.
She Ivanka and Jared Kushner were there. I found that
Mm,
very interesting.
that is peculiar.
I found that very interesting for them to be in the
See,
house.
Jared Kushner has a lot of real estate holdings in New York City and beyond, probably. And Jay-Z, I know, is a front runner along with New York Mets owner Steve Cohen to land a casino in New York. So perhaps Jay-Z is looking for a little leverage. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, I think it's all of it. I also think too that Reform Alliance is a reform organization for prison reform as well as criminal justice reform. And undercover, they were a part of that second act situation that was passed the first term by
Mhm.
Donald Trump. And not to mention, Donald Trump pardoned one of Jay-Z's business partners, the female one. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of I think it also speaks to when you reach a certain tax bracket, color is not so much as important as checkbooks. And
Oh,
that room was filled with a lot of millionaires
mhm.
and
color
billionaires.
shouldn't color shouldn't be important, but you can still watch your association on it shouldn't have come down to color. It should come down to ideology and other stuff, right?
Hmm.
Bad association spoils useful habits. So there you have it. I mean, you can't be hobnobbing with these folks all the time and not expect to start taking on. That's what happens to some black folks too, who get into certain positions. They start taking on this same mentality, and they think it's okay. I'm not saying this about Jay-Z because I have no idea. Maybe it is just a coincidence. Who knows? Maybe maybe this is a business deal. Who knows? I don't know. So I'm not in any way saying Jay-Z is forming the habits of MAGA. I'm not saying that. But
Hmm.
you have to understand that when you are hanging with, you cannot have somebody who is so-called your friend and they are the polar opposite, doing stuff to hurt you and your loved ones, and you still are, you know, friends. You still consider them a friend. There's something wrong there.
Well, it could be, there's another saying that says keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
And there's that. Trixie is asking, who do Reform Alliance help? Because she says, I know a lot of people who was locked up and no organization came to help them get back on their feet.
Well, I know one of the honorees at this particular event is somebody that was incarcerated and now they work at Rock Nation. So they honored him. I know in Kansas City, the Carters took out full page ads to talk about the police department and the corruption in it. In Louisiana, a couple of the prisons didn't have, adequate water, hygiene, and just sanitation. The Reform Alliance and the Carters sued the prison. So they do a lot of work, not so much in the criminal justice reform, but with the prison reform aspect of things. That's why you saw Meek Mill when he was pardoned. I think it was in Philadelphia. A lot of that had to do with Reform Alliance. So they do a lot with the prison reform and reintegrating individuals back into society. When you think about Reform Alliance, it was run by a black male. I forget his name, but now Jessica Jackson which is a white woman, is now leading the charge. You probably seen her before. She was on the Kardashians. She helped Kim Kardashian
That means I didn't see her.
with her legal when she was going to law school and passing the bar and things of that. I think Kim's still waiting, but yeah, so they're all connected. You know, the Kardashians, the Carters, you know, the Kushner type going on with that.
Orange G says it sounds very
Orange G
Magabilly to
said they
him.
dropped the lawsuit. Yeah.
He says it sounds very Magabilly to
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
him. But that I always had a problem when they dropped that lawsuit, and I always had a problem with that, Neil. And I've on a number of occasions reached out to Rock Nation and their attorneys about that, because what we know is that they dropped that lawsuit in exchange for Parchment allowing them to film a documentary that we still haven't seen yet. And to me, I'm not sure, what the documentary is supposed to accomplish. But maybe there's a bigger picture there, as you say. Again, I'm not trying to criticize Jay-Z because I don't know. I found it curious though that that was the settlement, and I read the settlement when it came out, that this was the idea that they were going to allow them to film a documentary about Parchment. So I don't get it.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot going on over there. I'd be interested to see how other organizations with like-minded agendas feel about Reform Alliance and how they move. Because they do get things done. They do help. They do have a lot of, people of color that have testimonies to the support and help that they have received. But then you have these conversations also that you're talking about that make you wonder. So, we'll see.
Well, Orange Geek says the documentary is actually out on A&E.
There you have it.
That's interesting. Yeah, so I got to see this documentary, and I don't know, or maybe RNG, you could tell us, what does it accomplish? We know how bad Parchment is, right? And the good thing what Jay-Z and his organization did was to continue to shine a light on how bad it was there, and they filed several lawsuits as we stated, and they were doing things to attempt to make things better. Now, we know that about a year or so ago, the inmates there got their hands on some cell phones, and they were able to show us how bad things we had a first hand view of how bad things were in Parchment, and including the rats and the more than that, what do you call it, the mold that will kill you, the water problems and everything else. So I would imagine that the documentary would have this information in it too, but I just don't know why they would just leave it alone after that, if they have left it alone, because the lawsuit is over with. Doesn't mean they necessarily have to leave it alone, but it seems like we don't hear anything else about it.
Well, maybe we should reach out to Reform Alliance and see if we can get somebody on to come and talk to us about, what they're working on, what happened at the prison, and more.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had Jessica Jackson on one of my shows before, so they're very open to come and talk to help amplify their message. So let's do it. Let's reach out.
Yeah, and finally on that topic, for me, RNG says that for the people in the South, the documentary showed us nothing. We know the horror of Parchment. So we will see, folks.
See, I don't. I think it's
Okay.
important. Yeah. So I think like in the South they know, but like on a national scale, maybe I don't know. So it's important. Information is helpful. So I want to see it now. Thanks, Orangey.
Well, and then they got Angola down there in Louisiana. So I mean, there's another a slave plantation there too. And believe me, that's how they run it. These guys are simply slaves there. Rolling Out magazine has identified 5 money moves that could make you rich. They say you could start investing immediately, create multiple income streams, maintain spending gaps, leverage debt intelligently. And I think that part is so important, and invest in continuous learning. They say these aren't gimmicks, they are strategies for turning struggle into generational wealth. So why aren't these things being taught in every school then, Niall? Shoot.
Right. I mean, I think that's a great idea, to be able to talk to teach these things. And it's, it's like the word, the pivot. It's teaching you how to pivot. 5 money
Mhm.
moves that can make you rich. So, life is about, the older you get, you understand it is about a pivot. And the more you know, and the more opportunities you have to go left, right, front, back, is helpful to you, on multiple levels. And so 5 money moves that can make you rich. Let's get into that pivot. What are they again?
Well, they say you need to start investing quickly. Immediately is what they say. Create multiple income streams, maintain spending gaps, leverage debt intelligently, and invest in continuous learning. So, financial learning, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And leveraging debt, we see that even with these millionaires and billionaires, right? The properties are in their LLCs.
Mm-hmm.
That they when they want to go to pull money out, they're
Mm-hmm.
able to do it with a certain, without getting hit with certain taxes.
Mm-hmm.
There are if we had the time. See, that's the thing. People say you got to take time. There's so many people of color who just don't have the time, right? But if you take the time, if you are able to and really
Mm-hmm.
look into this stuff, there are ways in which you can leverage a lot of what Rolling Out magazine is saying here. And Rolling Out, by the way, is a member of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, the Black Press of America.
Hey, love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of leveraging things, how about this, Niel? Um, while politicians try to strip away Black futures, this 9-year-old Black kid from Pennsylvania just walked into college classrooms and made history. His name is Aiden Wilkins, and he's not just the youngest student at Arsenius College. He is a reminder that Black brilliance cannot be boxed in, delayed, or denied. This 9-year-old started college.
Wow, that's amazing. I love these stories when we talk about how it reminds me of the song Young, Gifted, and Black.
Hmm.
You just continue to thrive. 9 years old though. Wow, look
9 years
at
old. Yeah, genius. Um, the youngest to take college courses at Ursinus, is that how you say it? Ursinus College,
that.
with dreams of becoming a pediatric neurosurgeon. How about that? Mm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Congratulations to his family, his parents, and all those around him, in that the household he's growing up in. We can't say he grew up in because he's only 9 years old.
Hmm. Right, right,
And
right,
as
right.
Mike B said, see, this is the problem. As Mike B said, let a conservative tell it he's a DE and I student. I mean, come on.
Hmm.
Goodness
Hmm.
grief. And Greer has a question. Should a 9-year-old
Uh-oh.
uh, go to college? What do y'all think?
Interesting.
Listen, if he is that advanced, my thinking is, I mean, I get we're not just talking about probably not just talking about the learning aspect, but if he is got that type of obviously that type of intelligence, it would do him no good to go to elementary school, as he would be about what, third grade, 9 years old.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it would certainly not be. He would not be a student who stays in a dorm or anything. Not my child anyway. At 9 years old.
So you wouldn't.
No, he
You
would. He
wouldn't.
would be. No, no, no. What I'm saying is that he wouldn't stay. He would go to classes, but he wouldn't stay in a
Hmm.
dorm or anything like that. It would. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing for me. These kids grow up so fast. And if I can go back and be a kid again, I think I would. So if
Mhm.
he could, just, maybe take some college courses, but also give him the experience of what it's like to be in school, because school is not just about education. It helps shape and develop social skills.
Mm.
And a lot
That's
of
what
these
okay.
kids are lacking social skills because of technology. Like they don't even go outside and play anymore, right? And so maybe, those social skills are more important than we've realized.
Well, there's a few comments about it. Dr. Marilyn starts it off. She says, "Wow, well, you don't have to worry about him going to college parties." Mike V says he would be bored in elementary school. Shanae says the social aspect is the question. Are you making him grow up too fast?
Mm,
RNG says if it is free, yes, I wouldn't pay for it. Kids never pay back money for college. He's speaking from personal experience.
mm,
Patricia Jackson says keep teaching your children their worth. Do not allow society to define you. And Dr. Mellon says, I say no, he won't be able to go to high school reunions and he wouldn't have the same experience as a college. Now, Dr. Mellon, that's where you and I probably disagree. I don't put a lot of stock in those reunions. I really don't. I know
mm-hmm,
people do. A lot of people do. I know I'm probably in the minority, but that's the past. When people talk about their 20-year, 30-year reunion or whatever, I mean, look, it might be nice to attend, see somebody, whatever you haven't seen, but that doesn't add or take away, in my view, from
mm-hmm.
your life. It doesn't make or break you. But nonetheless, like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm in the minority there. But the social aspect, though, Neil, is what you were talking about and what Shanae was talking about. I think that's very important.
Yeah, social skills are important, and our young kids today lack them tremendously, and it shows, and it's horrible.
Yeah, without question. What else you got for us this morning?
So let's head to Michigan, where a judge has dismissed criminal charges against 15 Republicans accused of falsely posing as official electors for Donald Trump in the 2020 presidential election. Now, the alleged defendants met at the Republican headquarters, okay, and falsely signed documents declaring themselves duly elected and qualified electors for the state. Now, the judge decisions comes amid state level prosecutions in Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Georgia over the 2020 fake elector scheme. Now, what also makes this interesting is that the judge was a Black woman.
Mm,
And
mm,
so this
mm,
was huge, especially during the January 6 trials that were led by Congressional Black Caucus member Bernie Thompson. And so this is the woman that decided that the foundation of our democracy that these people tried to throw away, that they didn't have to have any repercussions for it.
mm.
That's a huge deal.
And
Elected, that's a huge deal.
well, it is, and some of those election deniers are now they have some posts in the Trump administration. So,
Yeah.
whew,
And so now you have these electors, these 15 people don't have any repercussions, don't have to be held accountable for trying to overthrow our rights. We voted. This is how, and they said no, they didn't want, our votes didn't matter. They were just gonna be fake. We white privilege. You talked about white privilege earlier today. This is what white privilege looks like.
and what's lost in this, a little bit lost, is the electoral college. This stuff really speaks to that, in that folks will have a absolute fit when you say the electoral college should not in any way deviate from the votes that were cast, because folks, your what do you call it, civics or American history or whatever it is. It really comes down to you vote, and the electoral college, how many electoral votes, right, that a
Mhm.
person gets, a presidential candidate, whatever, gets. And those individuals who carry those votes, who must cast those votes on January 6th, um, legally, there's been arguments that legally they can change it. There's never been a case where they have changed it and somebody has who had won the vote lost. But folks get all up in arms when you even suggest, as it was in 2020 or 2016 when Trump first won, there were some suggestions that maybe the Electoral College won't go along with it. Now you have these fake electors, and nobody's up in arms. They're getting jobs. They are being excused for their crimes or alleged
Right.
crimes.
Right.
That's
Right.
just everything that, again, just to throw in a scriptural reference, everything good is now bad. Everything bad is now good. It's horrible.
Yeah. I mean, just to,
I gotta
it's so
wonder
much
about the
to
judge,
say.
Miel.
I mean, just like, just like those individuals we were talking about earlier. I mean, I just can't believe that she did it. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's time for us to get rid of the Electoral College? Or do we like the way that our democracy is ran? I prefer, like, let the people speak. If we vote, that's all that matters. Why do we need
Yeah.
this other tier of selective voters that we don't even really know who they are?
Right.
It's like who are these people? And they're really the ones that are deciding who becomes president.
There has always been arguments from a lot of people about just letting the popular vote determine who wins the election, and not this idea that you have to have this amount of electoral college votes, or that if you get 80 million votes and your opponent got 79, then you should be the one in the office. Shanae says
Right.
these are people with no integrity. They are dishonest. How do you hire them or trust them to work for your company?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Dr. Marilyn, I think she's saying yes to the popular vote.
The popular vote for sure. That's what we need to go towards. But see, these are all conversations that I think that resonate with the American people, and these are talking points that the Democratic Party can seize on. They just don't. They just don't. Be provocative. You look at what the Republican Party is doing and how they're challenging every fabric of this nation in a negative way, and they're getting rid of it. So why can't we challenge, let's get rid of the Electoral College. And this case right here in Michigan is a prime example of why we should, because there are fake electors. And think about it now with Donald Trump in office, he really can do this come 2028. Like there's just so much. And where is, if it's not the Democratic Party, where's the Independent Party? Where's the Green Party? Who is going to come up with a challenge to this Klan party known as MAGA, Republicans, whatever else you call them?
And just remember, all these systems were put in place, including the Electoral College, to suppress Black folks and their wishes. That's the bottom line with that. It's like the filibuster. So these are the hurdles, the obstacles. So when they start shouting about DE&I and affirmative action and things like that, just remind them of the Electoral College, the reason for it, the filibuster, the reason for it. All this was to make sure that Black folks in particular, and then other folks, were not able to exercise or have any or enjoy any power. And that's what it's about.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Dr. Marilyn says, I really wish we could get rid of political parties, period.
It's another thought.
Now that's provocative. That's interesting. So if we didn't have parties, we would just vote for the person we like. Forget
Somebody would vote for you, Miel.
No, I don't want nobody in my business.
Well, maybe that eliminates that part too.
Well, no, because if you have to run, then people are subject to, know who you are,
yes,
get in your business.
Normally, but once again, we have a president today who still hasn't released his tax forms, who still hasn't released a lot of things. And let's
But
not
we
forget.
know but we know that he is a rapist. He has
Hold on,
committed
stop it.
sexual assault.
Allegedly.
No, he was convicted
No,
in a
again,
civil case. Civil. But
civil.
yeah, but I mean, if he has to pay the money, that means that they found him guilty of those actions. I get it, not in the criminal court. I get it. Okay. But there's enough women out there that have come out. And that's my point. When you run for office, you are subject to all of your business being out there. Now, he might not have done the tax returns, but boy, we know that you are a rapist, that you like young girls because you was in them
Allegedly. Say allegedly, please.
he's in those Epstein files, allegedly. But these are all of the things that we know and that we've seen in the media because he has decided to run for office. I'm not saying I've done any of those things, just to be clear, but I'm just saying your business is everybody like the Obamas. Obama is squeaky clean because trust me, if there was anything besides that tan suit, they would have came for him. Okay.
And suit. I can't disagree with you on that when it comes to Obama, because yes, indeed,
Squeaky clean.
he has to be, because everybody, even so-called friends have been looking for the dirt.
Yeah, and I also feel like you can get more done outside of the system. But when you're an elected, there's so many rules and regulations and boundaries that you have to work in versus if you're, a nonprofit organization or you're a lobbyist. You don't have all those restrictions. So if you're a journalist, you don't have all those restrictions. Being an elected official, it puts you too much in a box to me.
The one thing that I've always had trouble with when I have, even long before I started covering politics, but even in school or whatever, is that it always takes a lot of money to win. That's a problem to me.
Too. Mm-hmm.
Why? It's like, why? Why
because
you
you have to
50 million, 100 million to win a job that pays what, $400,000 a year?
And before you even get to the fundraising, it's what you have to pay to file to run. You have to pay money to file to run. Then you have to, you have to have a campaign office. You have to have staff. It's a lot. And there have been times when I had friends that ran for office and I knew they weren't going to win. And I was so irritated that they kept asking me for money, because I'm like, I'm giving money. You're not going to win. I'm telling you, you're not going to win, but you insist on doing this and insist on wasting our money.
Every time I open up my email and still see Hakeem Jeffries and folks, asking for donations and stuff
all the time.
Listen, go out and earn folks' support. That's all I got.
All the time. Full of text messages and inboxes, emails, just Kamala calling. Here come Barack calling.
Yeah, the DNC who doesn't give anything to Black-owned media. So, and then you're going to ask a Black-owned media entity to give to you. Are you kidding me? Go away. I'm sorry.
All right, we're gonna keep moving. But see, look at the Pandora's box this Black judge opened up by letting these electors free. All right, but OpenAI confirms it's scanning users' chat GPT conversations and reporting the content to the police. Now, company reps state that the measure is intended to identify harmful or illegal activity, but the lack of boundaries has fueled debate about the trust and transparency.
Of course. You got that to worry about, period.
But I worry about this for protesters, because, this is how they find out what you're doing. This is how they are getting ahead of things that are supposed to be like your First Amendment right. You know what I'm saying? So they can use that. That's who I worry about, the protesters and the people who are resisting this Trump Klan administration, that AI and OpenAI will begin to turn over their information. That's why people use Signal. Now,
Mm.
now, the Department of the Secretary of Defense shouldn't have been on signal, but that's why apps like that are so necessary to kind of keep them out of your business.
Mm. The first
So,
Greer says the First Amendment has been done.
uh-oh. Then I don't have to say alleged. But
Boy.
allegedly, everything I said about Trump is alleged, okay? Just to be clear. Just in case, okay? Now, moving on to some faith news. The first concert in over 2,000 years was held at the Vatican over the weekend. And talk about DEI for hire. It was executive produced by Pharrell. And it was held on the 13th at St. Peter's Square. It featured Pharrell, Andre Pacello, John Legend, and hip hop duo The Clips. Now, the free event titled Grace for the World was a celebration of the Vatican's 2025 Jubilee year and closed the world meeting on human fraternity. And so this was the choir that was used was a choir from Virginia, which happens to be a family member of Pharrell's. And so this is what happens when you get an American Pope.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And to have the Clips there, I mean, that's huge.
The Pope just turned 70.
Did he?
Yeah. I saw that somewhere. That's why I know. I mean, I don't look for news on the Pope, but it came across my thing that he was 70.
Yeah, but this is what happens when you have an American Pope. And just for him to choose select Pharrell, and you have like hip hop there at the Vatican, I think that shows leaps and bounds for the Catholic Church, to say the least. But you can go watch
How many
this
of those
movie.
approve?
Who you mean? Oh, hey, it happened. But if you want to check it out, you can go watch it on Hulu and the Disney channel. The choir was jamming. I love the choir. The choir was really good.
Okay.
And then prayers. We want to send prayers out to Dr. Frederick Haynes, who announced he's taking a leave of absence as senior pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church in Texas. This comes following a recent medical diagnosis. And if you don't know, Pastor Freddie Haynes is a civil rights pastor. He's really huge. When it was time to do the redistricting in Texas, he was at the hearings. He's a part of the Black Church PAC. So our prayers go out for quick healing and recovery and restoration for Dr. Frederick Haynes.
Mm.
And we had him on the show. He was when I first came on, he was one of our first guests. Always responding when it comes to talk about the issues of Black people. And so we hope to call on him again in the near future. And last but not least, New York Fashion Week kicked off last Thursday. And all eyes have been the talk of Actively Black. Eyes and talk have been on Actively Black as they decided to dedicate their fashion show to civil rights icons. So you have the daughters of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. You had civil rights activist Cecil Williams, the one who drank the water out of the water fountain.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the creator of the Juneteenth flag, Ben Haith. All of these individuals and Ruby Bridges, they all walked the runway. So Actively Black really took their platform to highlight the moment of our times that we live in, and just remind us of the individuals who laid the path and showed us the way so we can keep going. So shout out to Lenny Smith or L. Smith for putting that together in such a unique and inspiring way.
So the gentleman who drank out of the white water fountain, and they had him on there, somebody made the point, and I thought it was an excellent point, that it just shows you we are not that far removed from that.
Mm-hmm.
There he is.
There he is right there. Cecil J. Williams.
Cecil J. Williams, yeah. that he's walking amongst us shows you just how recent that was. And then, of course, we're right back to them trying to implement that again. So,
Yeah, such a great way to really inspire and remind folks at New York Fashion Week. So much going on out there. So shout out to Actively Black. And if you haven't checked out their clothing line, it's really dope. It's athletic, it's leisure, it's sportswear, it's swimwear. So go check them out. And that's Actively Black. And
yeah.
last but not least, track and field is back, Stacy. There are meets that are happening today and tomorrow on Peacock. But one of the stories coming out of this weekend's meet was Tara Davis Woodhall. She's now added to the track and field for Olympics and world records. Now, she won the long jump. Her furthest jump was 7.13 meters. And now she's the world's best. And that happened in June of 24. So she beat that record. And she became the fourth African-American woman to pair Olympic and world outdoor titles in the event. Other women include Jackie Joyner-Kersee, Brittany Reese, and Tiana Madison. So congratulations to her.
Yeah,
Super
absolutely.
dope. Yeah.
All right. Well, finally today, Black Facts. On this date in 1963, 4 Black girls, Addie Mae Collins, Carol Roberson, Cynthia Wesley, and Denise McNair were killed in the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, after a member of the Ku Klux Klan detonated a bomb there. We remember those 4 Black girls.
Yes, we do. I mean, yeah. I mean, and so that just lets you know that I was having a conversation with my family yesterday about the age that we should have certain conversations around my niece and nephew. And then when I saw that in the script, I was like, it's never too young, because those 4 young girls, they shouldn't have to deal with what was going on around them. But I'm pretty sure that they were aware of what was happening, because some of them church meetings were probably at the church. You know what I'm saying? And so young kids, Black kids, they just have to know what's happening. We can't just put on the tablet and just ignore everything that's happening around them.
Absolutely. Well, folks, thanks.
I have one more.
You got one more. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's important to know that today marks a World Afro Day. If you didn't know, September 15th, it was established in 2017 by Michelle D. Leon, and it's to promote pride in natural hair, to educate the beauty and cultural significance, and to combat hair discrimination. Now, this day celebrates the Afro hairstyles and natural hair as a symbol of Black pride and liberation, which became prominent symbols of the Black is Beautiful movement in the 1960s and 70s. So happy Natural Hair Day, Black folks.
There you go. Wear your natural hair. And yes, Spike Lee did do a documentary called 4 Little Girls Southbound. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We run over time. Thanks for watching.